Hello and welcome back to the Wheel Talk podcast. No Elisa Balsamo to bring us in today because we are pivoting from Italy to France. The women's Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift starts on Saturday. Whew, we're coming up. It's coming up. Georgie Howe, you got your bags packed? Are you ready to go?
Not yet, and I'm slightly terrified because someone told me that it's the fashion parade for journalists. So I'm a little bit scared given I'm coming with a backpack. I am going to have to be quite inventive with my fashion choices. I also need to check the weather, but yeah, I might have to keep the Birkenstocks at home maybe.
Yeah, Lauren can attest to my fashion game steps up a little bit at the tour.
Yeah, g'day everyone. I definitely don't fall into the fashion journalism. I admire it and I view it, but no, I think Kate Verino wins the award every year.
She would, yeah. She's got quite a wardrobe.
Domi Powers might be a contender this year.
Okay, well, I'll try not to take that personally, that I didn't even make a mention.
But you did already call out Dominic Powers to me as someone to look to for fashion inspo, so I might have to have a look.
Oh, she's amazing.
A reel, I think it was on Instagram. Yeah.
She did. She's had a couple really good reels leading up to the tour. But yeah, Kate's fashion choices at the tour are just like next level. She always goes for those signature Zwift bright colors, but she also like thrifts most of her clothes. So it's even cooler like on the back end knowing that she's not out there like hunting down clothes and that she's only going to wear once and stuff. She goes out and she finds like unique thrifted pieces.
Start too, let's say her sister is in fashion. I know that she's got good taste, but then, you know, when you have a sister in fashion, it's kind of like Gracie Elvin has a sister who is into fashion. So I think Gracie has really good taste. Yeah. I'm curious to see if SBS lets her dress a little bit different to just...
Yeah, last time she just had to wear a polo shirt.
Yeah.
It simplifies it for me.
You want an Escape Collective polo shirt? Yeah, that's what I thought.
No, I think I can do better. I'll get a selection, but it'll have to be. I might do a few outfit repeating days.
It's hard to pull off bright orange and bright pink, but Kate does it really well. Anyway, we are going to talk Tour de France Femmes route, and we have a really special guest on the podcast today, Sarah Gigante. Hello, welcome to the pod.
Hello, thanks for having me. And I have to say, after all of that, I'm glad that if I do go, I find out this afternoon, if I do go to the tour, I don't have to worry about fashion sense at all. I just wear team clothes and then Lycra all day, every day.
Making me want to come out of retirement.
Yeah, I'll be sure. I had to pack something for the last night because at the Giro we went out and I still only had my team clothes, just like polo shirt and massive shorts. So I might... If I go, I might pack one outfit, but yeah, that's enough for me.
Yeah, if you go, you'll need to pack one outfit to celebrate because the turnaround from the Giro to the Tour probably meant you didn't really get much time to really enjoy your results from the Giro and kick up your legs a little bit. You've still got one of the biggest races in the world coming up. Hopefully, fingers crossed that you find out the good news this afternoon.
I was surprised. I thought, a week or week and a half between the races, just recovery rides every day, coffee stop. But actually, I had some quite challenging sessions and another one tomorrow. So, yeah, preparing as if I'm going, and that means no holidays just yet.
I'm interested by like the physiology behind that because I guess we read about how the guys, they actually ride on rest days because if they let their bodies rest too much, they get sick and things like that happen. Has that been a consideration in your training on the lead into the tour?
I did have 2 full days off when I got back, which I hardly ever take back-to-back full rest days. Like I take recovery days, but that was something different. But then, yeah, I guess my coach saw the Giro as a big training week, but if I didn't do the Giro, I would have had a big training week and then would have kept training after that. So couple full rest days was the only difference and then straight back to it really.
Yeah, wow, I find it fascinating. And well, next year, luckily we don't have to deal with that as the Giro will have its own month.
Yeah, and hopefully TV coverage in Australia.
Yes, hopefully. Yeah. That was so sad. Like having
Yeah, so bad. My family really wanted to watch it. They had to get like VPNs and listen in Italian. I think that's what they did in the end. But it was like such a good time zone too for once. So it would have been so nice.
I know.
That's the only thing I'm bummed about the Giro changing dates on the calendar is that it'll probably be in a more like North America / Europe friendly time zone in the afternoon. Like the tour stages are all at I think the live coverage all starts around like 3:30 p.m. except for just a couple of the stages. It's just such a great time in the day if you have kids and they're in daycare.
Yep.
Indeed.
Yep.
The tour will be fun. But anyway, so we want to talk just briefly about the Giro because we didn't have a big recap pod, and I think we did a pretty decent job of recapping what we could in our mini pods. And we don't have time today to do a big recap of the Giro. For sure, it's something we'll talk about again in the future, but we have one final audio diary from Sean Clark, DS for Live Alula Jaco from the final stage. So let's hear that really quick.
Hey, Abby and the Wheel Talk podcast. Sorry it's so late. It was the last stage, and good or bad, our service course is in Italy, so we knew we could make it home after the race. So since the race, we did our debrief on the bus with the riders, and then sent everybody flying home from Bologna, and the rest of the staff and all the vehicles drove north of Milan to our service course. And we got in just after 9, I guess. Traffic was pretty bad. Unloaded all the vehicles and then went out for dinner, and now here we are. So Abby dared me to go long, but I'll try to keep this pretty short because I'm not sure if people find this staff side of things interesting or not, as you're all fans of the riders and the sport. Maybe it's cool to see the side that organizes it all, but really we're just cheering for the riders, and I think it was a pretty good race today. For me, it was kind of cool because the Worlds in Imola was my first Worlds with Team Canada, where I was head of road and organizing the whole thing. So it was the same course today at the Giro, and it was kind of neat to be back on those roads in like a different role and a few years on from that moment. So it was kind of a nice check-in moment for me personally. And I think we saw really good racing. Like, man, it's a cool course. It produced really good racing in Worlds 2020, and it produced pretty cool racing today, I think. Our plan was to go for it. We knew Silke was on the rise, and a lot of the riders kind of around her in that top 20 and 30 in GC were fading. I think the top 10 were all pretty rock solid. But sort of beyond that, we're starting to fade a little bit. And, that kind of gave her a bit of an opportunity. So partway through the stage, we started riding to keep the break close, and probably a bunch of teams were wondering why we were doing that, but it's because we knew Silke was so good. And then she picked her moment. She launched across and went from that break solo, held everybody off. We thought if she got over the top of that last climb solo, and everybody started looking around a little bit, she might be able to go to the line, because it was mainly downhill, tailwind, hard to chase, a bit technical, but honestly they just caught her a bit too much before the top and swallowed her up on the descent, which was disappointing for us. And then it took good courage from her when Van der Breggen and Lippert went to blast out of the pack and try to chase him down, but ultimately she kind of went all in on that first move and couldn't quite do it. But I think it was cool. We tried, we went for it, we wanted the stage win, and I think it actually was pretty close. So that was really cool. Lots of exciting moments in the car. I think the rest of the week was a bit tough for us as a team. I think it showed the character of the riders that every day they showed up and went for it. Even though, we were kind of having bad luck or people weren't performing how they hoped they would coming in, but they kept showing up and kept working for each other. We rode as a team, and, I think moments like that are really what shows character. When it's really easy when things are going well, but when the luck's against you or things get a bit tough and you can see the character in the riders, I think we've got a pretty good team. Because we honestly on the bus and at the hotels, we were having a great time, even though the results weren't really coming. So I think that's a cool part of our team. Yeah, and I mean, I think, you know, the fans, they see what's on TV, they see what's on the results sheet. But for us, we had a lot of process goals in this Giro that we met, you know, and a lot of things that we just wanted to try. We wanted to see what people could do. We wanted to prepare a certain way and see how it worked out. So, you know, we are a team on the build. We are a team on the rise. And I think, you know, what you see on TV and what you see on the results isn't always what teams are working towards. And yeah, from results-wise, we missed a little bit this week, but we learned a lot of cool stuff. And we're going to apply that right away at the Tour, and then also going into next year. There's some riders that we want to really help develop and push forward. And, you know, whenever you get to race 8 days in a row against the best in the world, you learn a lot. So there's a lot of positives that we're taking out of the week. I think the race in general, you know, Elisa winning is always a popular win. You know, she's such a champion. It's cool that she's just a bike racer. You know, the sprint stage is where she made a pretty big push for GC, which is, I think, cool. So I don't know if anybody is upset with her winning. Reusser would have been a great champion also. It's kind of a nice period in the sport where a lot of the people who are racing for the win are pretty popular. Yeah, so I think it was a great Giro. I hope the people at home enjoyed it. I didn't get to see much of it because there wasn't a lot of coverage throughout that we could see from the car. So maybe when I get home this week, I'll watch it again and see how good it was on TV. I just want to give a little bit of a note. Team Picnic had the worst luck of the Giro, and especially Chiboko, their young rider. I'm sure it was a goal for them to get her in the white jersey, but every day for the last 4 days, she had a flat at the worst moment of the race. Like just as it's about to kick off on a climb or coming into a narrow descent or something, you know, whenever we had a moment that we knew was important and we were making an appointment, the radio would just come across with Picnic flat, and it almost became a joke in our car that when an important part was coming out, we're like, whoa, it's a good moment for Picnic to flat. So I think they did pretty well too with that. And I think the organizers did a good job with the course. We went to some cool spots in Italy. It was a nice tour. It blended a bit of history with some of the men's Giro, some of the past women's Giro, some of the classic courses that Italy produces. And I think for us, it got us pretty revved up going into the Tour de France. And I hope for the fans also, it got you revved up. So that's my little bit longer than normal diary. And hope to talk to you again soon. Ciao, ciao.
By all accounts, this Giro was called the hardest one from memory. We heard that from Spratty, but Georgie talked to other riders and they had a similar sentiment. Yeah?
Yeah, the hardest Giro that they've seen in a long time. I think you just had to look at the parcours and recognize that, and just have a look at like the quality of riders that were attempting to try old tricks, such as Anna van der Bergen, and it just wasn't working the same. So I think it was a Giro that was difficult to predict by way of what was going to happen in the race. So like the pre-race meetings would have been quite open, and that usually makes for a hard race. When you've got the likes of Sarah Gigante stepping away from Marlon Rosa and Elisa Longoborghini, it's a really tough race to predict. I mean, I knew you're always good, Sarah, so I was not surprised. But I don't think Marlon and Elisa would have expected that. But it made for a very hard Giro. So I think a lot of people want to thank you for that, Sarah.
Who? I like to have, but
I was chatting with one of the DSs. There was the Balois Ladies Tour in Belgium this past weekend. Zoe Backstep won it. She was so impressive. And I was just chatting about the Giro with one of the DSs, and they were saying the same thing about how hard it was, but it was quite interesting for them. All eyes were actually on Marlon because we know Elisa Longoborghini, but people were just curious to see how she would back up from that incredible month in May. And then she was really strong in Swiss. Of course, a very different race to racing, 8 days with so much climbing. And yeah, they really thought she was going to be the one that would just ride away. So for this DS, it was like quite good looking ahead towards the Tour with their contender. So I think there were some telling signs there, but Marlon never said she was targeting the Tour anyway.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing. Marlon has been saying for months the Giro GC
was the Tour.
winning it is the goal. So I think that's also why she had so much pressure.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, and of course, Elisa is Elisa. We know what she can do, and she's such a seasoned rider that I spoke with her DS, and they have no real concern about her backing up and having a good tour. But yeah, we're not going to dive into contenders, I think, on this podcast. Maybe that's something we can do a short preview, Georgie, when we're actually on the ground.
Thursday night, maybe you and I jump on
over a few vinos.
Yeah. What is it? I don't know what wine is in French.
I know how to spell it, but it's been a while since year 12, so it's VIN. I don't know.
Well, yeah, the Giro was amazing. I think there's quite a few riders that there are some teams like EF that aren't going to send a single rider in between from the Giro to the Tour. There are some teams that will have a good amount of overlap. And I think it will be really interesting to see how a lot of riders come out of the Giro into the Tour and how the GC looks besides just Vollering and Nieuwedome Finney, who we know have been targeting this race and have been sitting out for quite a while. And of course, Sarah's teammate Kim is a big favorite amongst this podcast. But today we're going to dive into the stages. All right. Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift starting on July 26th. This Saturday, 9 stages starting in Bretonne and going all the way to the Col de Madeleine, and then the next stage, which is also quite hard. In typical Tour de France Femmes fashion, they have really back-ended the hardest stages and made it so the GC plays out in the final days. But the first couple stages are actually quite hard as well, and it's not going to be a great race for any sprinters hoping for success. Let's talk about it. Stage 1. Actually, I'm really excited. I loved the intros from Sarah, from Elisa Balsamo so much that I went and asked a bunch of French riders to do the same for the Tour dailies. So when we get to the actual Tour dailies, we're going to have correct pronunciation for all of the stage starts from French riders themselves. I'm pretty excited about this new addition to my daily pods. Stage 1, Van to Plumelec, 78.8 kilometers long, and it doesn't look too bad, but actually there's two categorized climbs, but a handful of uncategorized climbs, and the finale is a 1.7 kilometer long climb. So it's not really a sprint stage to start it off, although I think the way that the climb looks, it might be one for like Voss or Wiebes. I don't think they're completely ruling it out, but there's no easing into the Tour with this first stage.
I know for a fact that Wiebes will be targeting this.
I mean, she wore the yellow jersey in 2022, and she missed out last year in 2024 when Kuhl beat her to it. So I think that she's definitely not going to want to give up any opportunity to pull on yellow.
And I think for SD Works, if they tried or aimed to hold on to the yellow for those the first half of the Tour, because still for them, GC is such a big question mark, what's going to happen. I don't think they'll be going in as confident as, say, some other teams. So to wear the yellow and get a few stage wins at the start of the Tour, that might end up being a successful Tour for them.
Yeah. And I mean, there's it climbs in the beginning a little bit and like through the middle of the stage, and then the finale is actually on circuit. So they do the same climb twice before they finish up at the top of it. So they're going to see the climb first. Wiebes can test it out, see how she's going. And I'm sure we'll see attacks on that climb. Like it's the thing about this stage is Wiebes may be targeting it, and like I'm sure Voss is targeting it as well. There's very few opportunities for Voss to pull on the yellow jersey again in her career. So it's going to be a huge fight for the line, but because it's the first stage, there's going to be a lot of riders who are going to want to try something. And because it's only 79 kilometers long, it's going to be just all out, so blazing fast from the start. And every single of these tiny climbs that would seem like inconsequential is an opportunity for someone to make an attack. But you're also racing in Brittany, which means that the roads are really technical, quite narrow, and the potential for crash is pretty high on the first two stages of the race.
I mean, I think if you're good at Kermesse racing, you're going to be good on this stage.
The last 1.7k, it averages 6.2%, and if you look at like Mer de Huy, that's 1.4k at 9%. So it's still like a pretty solid climb, and you do it 3 times, each lap's 9k, so you have to recover quite well. So even though I do think it's more likely a sprinter wins, and Wiebes is so good at climbing anyway, there could be the option that punchy GC riders want to already start with a few seconds in the bag. So I'm biased, but my teammate Kim LaCourte, she's super good at flesh, but she's also good in like flat sprints too. So this is almost like the perfect combination. If she can take the yellow jersey and some bonus seconds from day one, that would just be such an amazing start. So I do think that, especially I haven't looked at the tech guide, but I'm guessing there's no 3-second rule on this stage. It's probably 1 second. So there will be small gaps between even the GC riders, and I can see someone like Kim taking advantage of that.
Yeah, and for your team, I think for AG, I think getting the yellow on stage 1 will be absolutely massive. I think we're going to see a huge fight on this stage in particular. I think SD Works are having to battle a lot of bad press as well. I'm really enjoying this like Call of Duty Street View. Abby. It's really, for the listeners, it's like Abby's doing Street View like I used to play Call of Duty, looking at the sky. The optics around SD Works in the Giro were pretty terrible, particularly around the comments made by Danny Stam. So I think they'll be looking to quell any fears in their fan base by pulling on yellow. So Wiebes will be very motivated. But I think like the underdog story of Kim, look, not so much underdog, but because Sarah, look at yourself, and I think your teammates, you had 3 in the top 10 at one stage at the Giro. I don't think you guys are underdogs anymore. But I think Kim's profile is probably like less predicted to win this stage, and but I can definitely see her being one, particularly with that right hand hairpin and that technical finish into the finish line. But I don't think we can count out Marianne Vos on this. She does have an infinity contract, but how many more races like this has she got left in her?
Yeah, and it once they go around this right hand bend, it flattens out a little bit at the top. So like for a rider like Voss, and I mean Wiebes is climbing so well this year, they just have to get over that initial the mid part of this climb that's on the steeper side, and then it's just like a flat run in for the final couple hundred meters.
I will say this, as a GC rider, like you don't want to get caught out on this stage, and sometimes like it's a really short, sharp stage. You cannot have bad legs. That makes sense. With what Sarah was saying, the fact that like there will be seconds on the line here, there will be gaps. And we definitely can't get caught sleeping.
And we also have to consider that this stage is at 5:30 in the evening.
So late
as well. Yeah, which is good because it means like we get like the good for the spectators that we can actually watch, like they'll be able to watch the men's race and it doesn't clash with the women's race doesn't clash with the men's. However, like I think that's also adds a different dynamic. Some riders turn up differently in the afternoon and evening versus the morning. But also we have to take into account this is the first stage of the Tour de France. There is no more hectic day than that. Legs are fresh, everyone's jittery and nervous. People want to try anything and everything. These roads lend itself to some really unpredictable attacks. Everyone's going to be on edge. So yeah, I think we've got to be very mindful about what was happening. I actually can't predict what will happen on this stage. I mean, it's easy to say Weebus will win, but I actually don't know.
Don't you know, Georgie? I expected you to know exactly.
I don't know. I mean, have you seen my draft team, Sarah? I'm not very good at picking.
I don't know, but I had an interview with Sarah Van Dam, and she was thrilled to be named to your draft team. She said it was an honor.
Oh, really? I mean, I love, I'm loving watching her progress through the season. She is going to be the one that lifts us up.
When was the mid-season transfer period?
We never
did it.
Oh, because I was so sad no one picked me, and then I'm like, maybe someone will have faith in me. But
okay, wait. Am I coming last?
Yes.
Oh,
Wait, I'm not coming last anymore.
In the mid-season transfer, I think Lauren is last because we go by the transfer or by the pick order.
But you missed it. I had a good Giro, and I can't promise anything now.
Whatever. I don't believe that for a second.
All right. I think one other thing that we just to mention on the first stage is potential of crosswinds. There's like a long stretch where there could be crosswinds after the start. They turn right, and then there's like a really long stretch where they're going northward, and then they turn right again towards the circuits. And although it doesn't look like heavy wind, we can't ever discount it now that there was a 10-kilometer-an-hour crosswind that defined the Giro. So just worth a mention to keep it in the back of your mind that there might be crosswinds, but also
thanks,
maybe
Abby.
not.
I'll keep it in mind.
You're welcome.
Not pointed. It's not pointed.
Not pointed.
You, Lauren.
All right, stage 2 is another really hilly one, and this one climbs from the start. It's a lot of really punchy small climbs over and over and over, and the finish is again on a little climb. So this one has one significant climb in the middle, Cat 3, and that kind of kicks off the categorized climbing. And then there's 3 Cat 4s afterwards and a final little poppy climb to finish it off. So another pretty challenging day, especially, as we're still in the Breton region. So the roads are still really narrow and really twisty and fast. And it'll be another hectic day, I think, for the bunch.
And I couldn't get the FAR wasn't being very friendly to me, so I couldn't get the wind for this stage. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's some stiff crosswinds, particularly when they get by the coast.
Yeah, Valleyview is telling me starts at about 13k an hour, and by the end up to 16.
I think that's enough, and it looks like it will be a cross tail into the circuits as well. So it's going to be a really fast run in from Brest.
Abby said a nice little poppy climb at the end, but do not be fooled. It's a max of 14%, 800 meters to go. It is really short, but you have to pack some punchy legs for that.
Is this a Kim LaCourte special as well?
Oh, maybe, or Marianne Vos. I do see it as a good Vos stage.
And they do it again twice because just like it's not a circuit like the stage before, but they come into town and come through the finish line and then do like a larger circuit before they then come through the finish line again and finish the stage. Yeah,
I think these roads look like I think there's going to be separation in the bunch for sure. I think we'll see a reduced bunch come to the line. Yeah, there's going to be splits of like 30 seconds between each group.
And the road is so narrow for this.
Yeah, so narrow, and also look at the hedges. Like you really once a group is away, it's going to be really difficult to get them back.
It's really interesting to me that the men's finishes are all like in towns, and we had this last year. The last 2 years that I've been at the tour as well, we had like a couple really good finishes in towns, but then like a lot of the women's finishes are just outside of a town or like in a random industrial park. It's really weird.
I don't really want to read too much into it because it'll make me sad.
Yeah. Well,
maybe the factory's paid a lot of money. Who knows?
It'll be another really rapid stage, I think. And I think depending on how the first stage goes, how close the GC is going into the second stage will also add, extra layers of tactics for teams that want to try to take the yellow jersey early in the race.
Can I also make a point? At no other race did I ever think I was going to get dropped in neutral like I did at the Tour de France. And I'm just looking at those first 11K, and it starts on a climb. And I just really hope the neutral car has not had any caffeine before the start of that stage.
Oh God.
But their foot is light.
I bet they
Oh,
would because
man.
the night before is late, so it sounds like caffeine the next morning.
Oh, no. Oh, well, actually, no, not I know me anymore.
You'll see now, Georgie, on the side of the fence that like
You also need caffeine.
you need lots of caffeine, but it's like, I don't know. It's fun to watch.
No, I'm excited, but like no one wants to be the first rider to drop out of neutral. You guys remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
But neutral's always so hectic because everyone is so close together. Like I feel like it's the part of the race where there's the most likelihood of something happening because everyone is so close together and you're not moving very fast. So I actually prefer a fast neutral because it seems safer to me. Yeah.
It shells the shitters.
I'm sorry. The worst neutral in the world is that
Redland.
to be the Redland Sunset. Yep.
Yeah. So Redland Sunset. That was just uphill neutral and it was terrible.
Behind a race car.
Yeah, it was terrible.
At the Giro, we had
draft
13K downhill start one day, all behind the car. We were going around like 12 hairpins at like 10K an hour.
Oh my God.
To the team dietitian, do we really have to include this in our calculations to have 90 grams an hour? We're not even pedaling.
Hey, braking. Hey, just tell Ushka, braking requires energy, particularly when you're going that slow, that steep downhill.
It's nervous energy.
It is nervous energy. Gotta eat.
Stage 3. I feel like I've given up on even like naming the towns. La Gaxili to Angers. I've got like, I don't know what accent I've got. Anyway, stage 3 is the start of 2 more sprint leaning stages. The 4th stage is like the only probably true sprint stage of the race because stage 3 still has like a little bit of uphill to the line. But for the sprinters going to the race, stages 3 and 4 are really their only guaranteed chance of a bunch finish. And there's a surprising amount of sprinters actually lining up for the race. So this will be another really fast stage, 163.5 kilometers. So it ain't short. And this is the stage where the peloton leaves the Breton region and heads towards wine country. For those on the sidelines.
Well, yes, when we can work out how to pronounce wine in French. But I think it's. I just had a look at the wind really quickly. There's going to be once they take that right bend in the course and start to head southeast. It turns into a bit of a cross tail, and so I wonder. Yeah, it's not a direct cross, but I think cross tails. If there is going to be splits, it will be there. And it's a long day. People want to take advantage. We've seen already teams take initiative like UAE in a stage that seemingly wasn't that windy, as you said before, Abby. So I think this is a stage we can peg for something maybe to happen. If not, it's probably going to be like an early break will go, they'll control it, and then we'll get as we get closer into the finish, it'll start to spice up a bit, particularly with this technicality coming in.
Yeah, there's 4 corners in the last kilometre and you have to go across a bridge too, so definitely a good lead out would be important.
And look at that roundabout can cause issues. Yeah. And every cyclist loves a bridge, don't we?
Yeah.
Things always happen on bridges. I don't know why. It's the same as any other piece of road. Maybe that's why everyone freaks out.
My face got rearranged by a bridge once.
Oh no. Well, it looks pretty good now, so.
Thank you. Oh, you guys stop it. You flatter me. Anyway, let's continue to talk about cycling.
There's this really long stretch along the river that I think is going to be really, really hectic. Like once they come into town, they take this turn. Once they cross one bridge, take a turn, and then they are along the river for quite a ways. And that kind of is going to be, I think, the most hargy-bargy part of the race because, yeah, like Sarah said, there's a really sharp left, right, left, and then a bend as they come into the finish. So teams will want to be well positioned even before they cross the river for the second time and before they go through this little chicane that's within 1.2 kilometers of the finish.
Yeah, I just see this is I think this is one of those stages where, like, I mean, there's always a dodgy finish at the Tour. I remember it was in 2023, it was stage 6 where we went over train tracks, and I can see that actually going over a railway here on that left turn. So I just hope that this is not one of those stages where something nasty happens.
Yeah, hopefully no 3-kilometer rule is needed.
Yes.
But there will be a 3-kilometer rule and a 3-second rule, so that's one good thing.
Yeah.
This is a stage where I feel like they should just like call the GC with 5 to go and just let the sprinters do their thing.
Yeah, I mean, look at that back at that what is it? At like I think it's like 10 or like 6Ks to go. That left turn roundabout. That's hectic as. That's going to be mad. That's going to be huge. Like fight in from 154 in. It's going to be huge fight.
What are all those caution symbols?
Yeah.
You know what else happened? 6K to go at a roundabout last year.
Yeah. That's mad. Like in their speed
Three
bumps,
roundabouts.
narrowings. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. Jesus.
Traffic island.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The next stage is another potential sprint stage. This one has a category 4 climb closer to the finish, but it's still far enough out, like about 30 kilometers from the finish or 29 kilometers from the finish. So it's probably not going to be of much consequence. There's this tiny little poppy climb with about 2-3 kilometers to go to the line. But this is the stage. This is probably the only stage that is like a bunch sprint is very likely. And I dug into the history of finishes in this area. And the last time the men's tour finished here, it was the stage that Caleb Ewan won in 2020, where it was a photo finish and he won with a bike throw.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what good Aussie sprinters could win this one then, because not me, but if Caleb won.
Never say never, Sarah.
Oh, I can say never this time.
Could be a Stephen Bradbury. You never know.
You never know. Well, let's hope.
You're doing the massive lead out and then you look behind you and there's no one there anymore.
I think if you think does Australian team count? Because I think Letizia Paternoster is going from Jayco, so that's a possibility. If they can position well, I think she'd be quite good up those poppy climbs. She climbs quite well for a sprinter, so I think that's someone to keep in mind. But I don't know any other Australian sprinters going. Ali Wollaston is look, she's a Kiwi.
Yeah, she counts.
She counts.
I hope Charlotte O'Cool can recover well from her crash yesterday, because it would be nice to see Weebus have a bit of competition on this stage. I'm
excited to see how Balsamo is going. She's just done a big altitude block, so I'm curious how she's going to go into the Tour.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And I'm just looking at the wind as well. Again, not a huge amount of wind, but these are all going to be fast stages because we got a predominant northeasterly for the whole Tour. So they're just going to be pushing the riders all the way towards the Col de Madeleine.
And we ourselves are getting there quickly. Stage 5 is the longest stage of the race at 166 kilometers. 2 really long stages in this year's Tour with stage 3 as well. And this one is where kind of the climbing really kicks off. It's all back-ended into this stage, into the final 70 kilometers of the stage. And the really two significant climbs are in the final 30K. And once they go over the final category 3 climb, it's a descent and then only 3.5 kilometers of kind of false flat uphill to the line. So I think that this is going to be a stage that's not really a GC day. And I think this could be a breakaway stage potentially. We could see a small group get off the front somewhere in the beginning or in the midway and then kind of get away from the peloton if they mistime the chase, and then there's those climbs in the end. But I think that with the pressure on this race and with the amount of riders going for GC at this race, the varying types of climbers as well, that there's not going to be a single climb in these final half of the race from stage 5 onward that is going to be left untouched by some kind of GC battle. So I'm seeing this as kind of like an intro GC day.
This one is a funny one because I did a recon of from stage onwards. I did with my mum about a month ago. And we just hired a car and I booked cheap Airbnbs, and I'm going to know these descents really well. So I thought, oh, we'll just start with stage 5 after, like 6 hours in the car, and I had a recovery day. So I'm like, oh, just an easy sprint stage just to, spin the legs out before the hard stages. But actually, I have to say that last 30Ks is pretty solid. And the final climb into that descent is only 3Ks at 5% average, but it does get up to 8% at the top. And you turn off the main road into this really quite narrow, like, lookout, detour for it's a nice little circle you almost do. So it gets narrow and up to 8%. And then you're straight into quite a fast and twisty descent. And then by then you're pretty much in the town, a few turns, and you're at the finish line. Yeah, I'm going to say a reduced group, but someone like Liana Lippert could take. She's, how good she is at winning stages in Grand Tours. I think it would be a sprint from like a reduced group.
Yeah, this descent is really technical. There's quite a few sharp hairpins in the descent and from the beginning of the descent as well. So if there's a group that stays together on this climb or gets away on this climb, if anyone gets away, and they can definitely hold it throughout that descent and into the finish, because it's going to be so fast and so technical that there's not really going to be able to be any kind of concerted chase in theory. And it's going to be like a really, really tricky finish from the top of that climb. And there's also the bonus like points. I think it's seconds on the line is what I looked through as much of the like Tour de France website as I possibly could, and couldn't find any concrete definition of the bonus sprint, if there is seconds that come along with this bonus sprint. So when Lauren and Georgie and Matt do the podcast on the ground later in the week, and they have a road book in front of them, they can better define what the big B means in these stages. But that is at the top of that final climb to make things a little bit more interesting.
What do you think about someone attacking the descent?
I mean, I wouldn't rule it out. It's the Tour de France. We saw it already at the Giro, and we've seen it time and time again. And we've got riders in the race that are pride themselves on their descending skills, like Kasia. She wants revenge from being dropped on a descent in Tour de Suisse too.
Yeah. They're small enough that if you do go for a solo attack on the descent, you can get into yellow before. Like, you can't really wait till stage 9 to win by 10 seconds and hope you get into the yellow jersey if you're not already wearing it. Whereas now,
because this road is so narrow. Like, it's like I think if someone has reconned it, like,
I did it 5 times. I was so over it by the end.
Mate, you could be the one that's hacking on this descent.
Never,
I'm telling you.
Never. See, now I'm using your phrase back at you.
Exactly right. Never say never. But I think because you've only got 3Ks from the base of the climb into the finish, and then and it's fairly you've got to, as you say, Sarah, a few turns and then you're there. So if you get enough of a gap and there's not that much cooperation behind.
Moving on, stage 6. From here, we just kind of build into the climbing, and things get gradually harder and harder as we go. Stage 6 has the first category 1 climb of the race in the midpoint, and will be familiar to a lot of riders because it's Clermont-Ferrand, which is where stage 1 and 2 of the 2023 tour started. So the first category 1, it says 10 kilometers, but it's actually quite a bit longer than that. It starts well before the actual categorized climb. So it's going to be the first 70K that includes 2 Cat 3 climbs are basically nothing compared to the back end of this stage, which is a Cat 1, a Cat 2, an uncategorized climb, and then basically like a plateau descent to the line. This is going to be a really hard day. And I see this as a day where a GC potential like Reusser, who's maybe not feeling herself against Vollering on the Col de Madeleine coming up, would be able to hope that they could maybe get away and try to stay away to the line, get some extra seconds before the really hard GC days coming up. But this is definitely kind of the start of the real GC battle, I think.
Do you think Rosa will be happy to get like, say, would it be a realistic aim for her to get a yellow jersey? Maybe not to win the Tour de France, but to get the yellow jersey on one of the days?
I think she wants to win the Tour de France. I think getting it and losing it, after seeing her at the Giro, how disappointed she was to come second. I was sitting there in third, like so happy, and she was so upset. So I think although the Giro was her big target, it didn't go how she dreamed. So I think why not just shift that goal 2 weeks later to an even bigger race potentially. And yeah, I think she could definitely slip away and get a big buffer. That final descent is, yeah, you can pedal really hard on it. So great for someone that can time trial who has the watts. And those other two descents, they're both about 9 kilometers long. They're on pretty bad roads, very twisty and quite narrow compared to quite a few of the other descents on like 2-lane roads. So yeah, I think maybe she goes on that final climb, which also has bonus seconds at the top just for some extra time.
This descent looks gnarly. This is the descent off the
they were really tricky descents, both of them.
Yeah, it's a really narrow road, really, really twisty.
Yeah, these descents look like they're if someone gets away, if a group gets away, it's gonna be tough to get it back because you after the first climb you're descending and you're straight to the next one. It's like a Toblerone.
How's it like a Toblerone?
It's just like bang, 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 bang.
Oh, okay. I needed that to be explained to me.
Sarah just throwing out the sass.
Oh no, I'm just like, how's it like a Toblerone? What am I missing? Maybe I need another Toblerone. Refresh the memory.
There's apparently like the the Matterhorn on the Toblerone. They it's got copyright issues. Unless you get a Toblerone in Switzerland, you don't see the Matterhorn on it.
Oh wow. Fun fact.
I have a friend who lives in the Matterhorn. Sarah, I will bring you one. If you start the Tour de France, Georgie and I will present you with one that you can...
Toblerone. And I can
explain until I see it. Because, SBS told me the day before the Alpe d'Huez, they said the first Australian to get to the top of Alpe d'Huez, you can say whatever, like, Australian snack you want, like a popular one that they might have, and then we'll give it to you. Actually, they said this at the start of the tour. But so they could prepare, and then if you were the first Australian, so I was like, need Bradbury's here, Spratty's here. This is going to be tough, but I really want some Tim Tams, please. And yeah, no Tim Tams, no nothing at the top. I was very disappointed.
Oh, well, no. We are women of our word. We will deliver, and I can then explain my metaphor again.
Well, Georgie is still down under, so write it down. What it is, Sarah, that you want.
Yeah, Sarah's also
she's got the pen behind her ears, and I will bring the Toblerone from Belgium. Well, I'll bring
Tim Tams.
Now, pressure's really on my team to select me. I'll have to add this to the discussion. Guys, if you don't pick me, we're missing out on Toblerone in the team bus.
All right, stage 7 is another stage with the climbs really back-ended into the stage. This one is 105 kilometers worth of kind of flat, not a single climb in sight before they hit a Cat 2. And then the Cat 2 is 3.8 kilometers long, averaging 6.9%. So it's not nothing. And then they drop down into a long kind of false flat section before a Cat 4, 1.2 kilometers, but it really stair steps. It's a lot longer of a climb than it seems on the paper, because once they get to the top of the Cat 4, it doesn't descend. It just kind of flattens out and then climbs again, and then flattens out and then climbs again. And then there's like a little bit of what I'm assuming is a pedaling descent before they go into the Col de Grenier, which is quite a famous climb in cycling. The way that they're going up it isn't the hardest direction. They're kind of going up the more gradual 8.9 in theory kilometer long at 5.4%. But it is kind of really just one climb. So in theory, you could look at this as more of an 18 kilometer long climb than a 9 kilometer long climb. Just the beginning is more of a, up, flat, up, flat, up, flat, up, flat. And then it descends into the finish. There's really only 1-2 kilometers of flat once they get to the bottom of the descent and into the line. But in theory, they hit the top of the climb, and then it's a really, really long descent. into the line. So this is definitely a GC day. Like, this is a day where we might see a break go and we might see some satellite riders up the road, but this is going to be kind of the really first big test for the GC riders, I think, and especially teams that have really strong climbing contingents. They're going to want to take advantage of this climb as a unit, because once we get to stage 8 and the Col de Madeleine, that climb is not one for teammates. That's going to be just like an all-out battle of ones and twos, and this one could be more of taken on as a team, I think. So for like FDJ, AG Insurance, Sudal, it's better for teams that have multiple strong climbers.
If it's the same climb that I think, because we had the Rowing World Championships in this area in 2015, and I took a Fiat 500 with 3 heavyweight rowers in the car, and we climbed up one of the climbs, and the really Fiat was really struggling. So if it is the same climb, I imagine it's going to be a very tough day on the bike. Beautiful views, but very tough climbs. So we passed a few cyclists that were going very slowly.
Surely Cedrine Cabal is the favourite for this one. I know we're not meant to talk contenders, but if I'm not racing, then I'm excited to watch her on this descent.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really, really good stage for Cabal, and the descent is quite technical. I mean, like there's long stretches where there's not a lot of turning where you can get a lot of speed, but there's still a couple really tight turns. And for a rider like Cabal, like, she's looking at this climb, and once you get to the top, if you get to the top and you get a gap, there's no way anyone's catching you before the line.
We're changing from 52 chain rings to 54 for the Tour. And there's a lot of pedaling on this descent.
Good insight. Is that UCI?
Yeah.
That UCI spec?
Yeah. I mean, 52 is pretty small. We often high cadence. I think Marlon also could, attack near the top or over the top. And because you really do have to pedal down this descent, it's not super technical. Like, it's fast, and there are some hairpins, but Marlon could also try and increase that buffer if she already has one.
Do you think a pair could get away? Because I'm just wondering then, Abby, do you mind like scrolling up a bit so I see that the finishing few Ks?
Yep.
I'm just wondering because that looks like a fairly technical run into Chambéry there. So
that is technical.
Yeah, if there is like a small group that gets around the descent, I also see a late attack in the last 2Ks as well. Someone going late.
Yeah, and Chambéry is a popular destination for female cyclists. That's where we have the Grand Prix Féminine de Chambéry, and we've had winners like Brodie Chapman, Laura de Shepper, Victoria Gilman, and this year Erica McNally won in that race, and that's more of a circuit race with one climb in it, but it's a cycling town, and if they've done the race, the Grand Prix there, then they'll have at least ridden through the town and have some sense of the roads. But it's at the very bottom of the descent off of the Grenier. There's like a series of switchbacks here that looks like probably one of the most technical parts of the descent.
I think this could be a day for Elisa Longa Borghini. She had great form in the Giro, and actually if she got away with like Cedrine Cabal and Rusa. But of course we haven't actually spoken about Demi Vollering at all, but she is very well rounded and very good technically too. So
I think we're about to speak of her.
Yeah,
indeed.
Stage 8, the Queen stage, 3,539 meters of elevation gain over...
That's cooked.
111 kilometers of racing. So it's like 112 kilometer long day with just an insane... It's so much climbing to kilometer. The ratio is nuts.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, if you look at the profile, it looks like there are just 2 big climbs because, you start climbing right from kilometer 0 with 13K at 6.5%. But I did the full recon this day. Some of the others I just did parts. And I felt like there was never any flat. Like the whole thing felt like I was going up and down. But they look like such tiny bumps in the middle of the stage. But they're not. It's just that the Madeleine is so huge. It just dwarfs everything. The scale is completely out of whack.
We're going to see separation from kilometer zero. I think, like, I actually genuinely think time cut is obviously like a factor, but I think in this stage in particular, we will see a lot of the peloton not make time cut.
Yeah, I think anyone who's had a rough tour, like for example, if you've had a few crashes or just not had the legs at the start, gotten a little bit sick, it would be game over on this stage.
100%. Like, so then, like, yeah, I don't even know, like, if you're out the back from kilometer 1, that's a long day.
18.6k, averaging 8.1%, and it's the highest point of the race. So you do go to altitude, so to speak. So yeah, parts of it above 1,500 meters.
Sarah, I'm intrigued. Like, so you've done the full recon of this stage and you've climbed the Col de Madeleine.
No problem. I said I did the full recon, but I got halfway up the Madeleine, and then there was like this big sign saying like detour, like road closed. I'm like, oh, surely I can get past. I'm on a bike. I'm not normally a rule breaker, but I'm like, oh, I've come like 100k. I have 108k. I have 8k to go. I'm doing this. So, and I was going like quite fast. So I was like, oh, I want to see my time. And then yeah, I kept going, and it was very, very, very close, and I could hear like jackhammers up the road. So I couldn't go.
Okay.
So I went back down and then did the first half again. But
so because my question was about the first half, because it looks like that it starts a lot harder than it flattens off, not more flat.
Yeah, I think it's like 9% first half, 7% second half. So it's not a huge difference, but.
So, okay, all the money in the world, all the luck in the world, how would your team approach that climb?
I love this question.
I think it just depends on what's happened, because there's so much racing to get to this point.
Yeah, Sarah, like ideal situation.
Oh, you mean it? Like everything has gone perfectly.
Correct.
You've got a full healthy team.
I think it depends how everyone's feeling. Kim's feeling amazing, and she's already in yellow.
We're ideal situation, Sarah. Ideal situation.
Okay. So Kim has the QOM, I did see, because I was looking at the Strava segment. So I think she already has like quite a lot of time stacked up, a few from some bonus seconds, a few just small gaps in her being good on descents. So she's coming into this with like 23 seconds to the next rider, and then she has the climb of her life. She has like a full team of, okay, maybe our sprinters can have a day off riding time cut, but an otherwise full team of riders there around her, which I think, my team does have a lot of climbers. And then out sprint Demi at the top. Yeah,
but like, do you do it? Like, what do you do? Do you pace Kim on those bottom slopes? How do you protect her to make sure she can then unleash? Because I'd say what, the last 6Ks, you're going to be down. It's going to be down to like 5 riders, if that. So how do you get the ideal composition for those last 6Ks with your team at the bottom?
To be honest, I think it's like what Abby said. It's kind of a watts per kilo test. So it's like Zwift racing too. Like, you can try really hard to race as a team, and like we of course will race, or whoever's there. It'll be like fantastic teamwork to the bottom of the climb, but I think that's where you can do the most work, is just getting your leader to the bottom of the climb in a great position, as fresh as possible, tons of ice socks, very fueled and hydrated. But I think after that, it's going to be, woman versus woman. You can try, but it's so steep.
Contender versus contender.
I really think that this is going to be like, because there's this really, really steep section, at the steepest part of the climb is basically, or the longest part of the climb that is steep is so close to the bottom, that I think that that's going to determine how the days before race, because the second that they get to the bottom of this climb, it's just all out. There's not going to be it's going to be race riders popping off the front and popping off the back. And there's not really going to be much tactics involved, at least at the base of the Col de Madeleine, because it's so steep. And because it continues to be steep, not as steep, but it's not until 3K to go, 5K to go, 6K to go, that it levels out a little bit before it gets steep again. That at that point, maybe some riders could catch each other, but I think that it's really going to be like basically a race to the bottom, and then an individual time trial almost, as riders break away and get dropped.
At the very base.
I think definitely people finishing in a group of 2 maximum. I don't think we'll see a single group of 3 in the top 20.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Which means that Vollering is really the rider to watch if she is still the best climber in the world. We haven't seen her race since Tour de Suisse, and she wasn't on her A game there. So what she's been able to do since she's been away from the peloton is a big question. And we also have no concept of how Kasia is riding at this point either. So there's a lot of big question marks around the big favorites going in. The only riders that we really know about are the riders that were at the Giro. And I don't know, Sarah can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that this climb is comparable to anything at the Giro.
Yeah, I think it's twice as long as even the longest climb we did. Demi did race the National Road Race Championship.
Right. Yeah.
It was a really bad course for her, and she was caught up in a crash. I don't think she was hurt, but yeah, not a great day. And Cassia's last race was also Nationals. But she did manage to win that solo by 2.5 minutes over Dominika. Oh, her last name.
Voldacek.
Yes, good job. From UAE. And she's a good rider. Actually, she had a win just yesterday at Picto Girante. So she's in good form at Nationals, but of course that's quite different. Polish Nationals, the Tour de France.
Yeah, I'm thinking more in terms of World Tour stage races, and I think Kasia's on really good form. She's been at an altitude camp with her team and been really, blinders on, focused on the tour. It's her biggest target of the year, and I think there's a lot of eyes on her based on how last year's tour was won, to see if she can back it up with another victory that doesn't involve manufactured controversy around a crash. I mean, in my opinion, I'm maybe a little biased because I've watched Kasia her entire career, and I just think that win, regardless of how Vollering lost time, was such an incredible victory for Kasia that I don't want to take anything away from her by saying that she only won because of that crash. But there's crashes in bike racing, but we don't have to dive into that right now. That's my own beef with social media, I guess. But yeah, both of them have really structured their entire season around basically this climb in a way. So it's going to be huge.
With the men have raced up this climb, haven't they?
Yes, it's been a fixture in the men's racing quite a bit, and the last time it was raced was in the Dauphiné this year, so just a month or so ago. Tadej Pogačar won by 14 seconds over Jonas Vingegaard. Well, it's going to be, that's going to be a wicked one. This is the queen stage of the race, and the marquee climb of the whole tour. But stage 9 is also quite difficult. Stage 9, we've got a HC climb sandwiched between two Cat 1s. It's another relatively short stage, 124, compared to just how long a lot of the stages are in this tour. And this one climbs for 4.5K before they descend for 10K, and then there's a flat bit, and then they hit the first Cat 1 of the day. And the HC, 11.6 kilometers long and 8.5%. That's going to be the hardest climb of the day. But the Col de Corbier, which is the final climb of the race, tops out with 29 kilometers to go. That 5.9 kilometer long climb at 8.5% is the last significant climb of the tour. So between the HC and that final Cat 1, this is where any time loss on the stages before, this is where the last attacks will go, kind of the last attempt to gain any kind of place in the GC, whether that's the top of the top step or anyone in the top 10 will be fighting to get up a place. And once they come off that Cat 1, it's not flat to the line. It's a lot of false flat uphill, one little kind of poppy climb and a descent, and then a bit of climbing again before they get to the line. Not a categorized climb by any means, but it's not flat. The stage doesn't end at the base of that Cat 1.
I thought it was all flat after that 100-kilometer mark. And so I said to my mum, I'll just ride all the way to the end. May as well just finish it off, end of our recon week. But I was expecting it would be pretty easy. And it was actually torrential rain that day. And I'd almost got frostbite on the descent, the massive descent. I was so cold, but I'm like, I'll just finish it. It's just easy. But it's hard. And the last 3.5K are at nearly 5%. So, of course, it's not steep. But at the end of such a long day and such a long week, it will still be a battle of the climbers. Definitely a GC day again.
It's not 112 Ks and 3,500 meters of climbing. It's 126 Ks and 2,800.
What I was thinking when I thought it would just be an easy day.
Yeah, I think this one will probably be more likely. It'll be like a select group of GC riders like sprinting for the finish, I think is what I'm looking at for this stage. But you can never really predict it, I think, with a profile like this. There's so much that can happen. And after a week of really hard racing, and we have to remember that this is the first time that the tour is 9 stages long. So an additional stage. And I don't think 8 stages really counted in last year's tour, since we had, the double day and a really, really short time trial in that tour. So this is like, I would say, the hardest Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift that we've had so far. And it's definitely this extra day, even though it's not as hard as the stage before, is going to feel a lot harder with all the racing in the legs up to this point.
We're talking about this stage like it's easy. Like this is going to be very hard. Like this is absolutely nuts. Like I think when I did the tour, I got like 1,200 TSS over more than that, but it was a lot of strain. I think this tour is going to be absolutely nuts. Like it starts like relatively flat, but then these last days are absolutely crazy.
Yeah, these last 2 stages are brutal. And the HC climb in the middle of the stage it's like so steep in the beginning. It's another one where there's no like easing into the climb. The second they hit the base of this climb, that's 10.8%. And then it doesn't ever like let up. It just gets a little bit less steep. And then there's like one kind of plateau, but not really, because it's not long enough. And then there's another really steep section in the middle of 11%. And then another over 9% near the top. And it's not like there's no rest. It's just 11.6 kilometers of pretty steep climbing for this whole middle climb. And I think what will be interesting to me is how teams handle riders getting away, if anyone gets away on this climb. Like which teams are going to have numbers at the top of this climb with how hard the racing has been up to this point, and which teams will be able to chase anything, if they even can, that gets away on the HC climb before the finish. Because if you have a rider who's really strong over long efforts like Reusser that can maybe get away on this climb, can a team like FDJ bring her back before the finish?
And the descent is super long and the first half is steep. So it's 22 kilometers coming off that climb that are all downhill into the next climb. I know this because, as I said, I was freezing at the top and then still had to descend for like half an hour. And yeah, some of it is super technical and about negative 11% for a while. So you need to be a super good descender. But if you are, I can't really see teams being able to organize themselves for quite a while. We have riders still trying to catch up. And yeah, it would just be chaos, really.
Yeah, it's going to be a really great... I love it when the race... Like, it was nice last year when the race kind of ended on a climb and there was like a definite finality to it. But I like it when a stage race has a stage like this to end the race, because it can be more so than just a all-out kind of climb to the finish. There can be tactics involved in a stage like this. And I think there will be teams that, like at the Giro, they got nothing out of the race, that will go just guns a-blazing into this stage, and it'll make it really, really interesting from the start.
I think there's going to be some watch parties at stage 8 and stage 9 on some of the corners. I'm excited about it. No, I'm really excited to be on the other side of the fence for this one, particularly after just previewing the parkour.
I'm just so jealous you get to spend the week with Matt and Eve.
Yeah, look, I mean, we've already discussed our music proclivities, and I've done the important cultural question of, now Matt, when you're tired, what do you need? And then he asked the same of me. So we make sure we're our best selves for each other in the mornings.
Well, I think it'll start better than when Matt and I went to the tour and I made him do like a 12-kilometer run quite fast the first day we were there, and his calves were sore. He was limping for like 4 days afterwards.
I have because I'll be doing a sponsor ride with Liv on Friday morning, but after that I don't think I'll have that much time to ride, so I am packing my running shoes, and I went for a precautionary introductory run today, just to make sure I do not blow myself up. So I will be taking my running shoes, and I will not be blasting him over 12Ks, Abby. It'll be a very, very nice. In fact, I might actually just go by myself, because sometimes alone time's good.
Yeah, that's very true. And you get a little suffocated at the tour just being in the car and being you're together for a lot. But yeah, it's a really fun time. And yeah, I think we're looking at a really, really good race. I think we can wrap this up. I'm really excited for the tour, and you guys will be back in just a couple days to talk contenders once we've got a full start list. So far, we only have Canyon SRAM is the only team that has announced their full lineup for the race. So Matt, Lauren, and Georgie will be back later in the week to talk start list. Sarah, by the time this comes out, we'll know whether or not you're racing, but good luck if you are.
My tone's on the audio diaries.
And thanks everyone for listening. We're only a couple days away from one of the biggest races of the year.